Further, research has demonstrated higher rates of compliance and lower rates of recidivism among offenders who participated in a mediation process than those who did not. An analysis of 14 studies of juvenile offenders, including 9,000 offenders, found that those who participated in mediation programs committed fewer and less serious offenses in the future. For those wishing to learn more about mediation in criminal matters, please consult the following resources. Many of these are available directly on the web or through local libraries. For those interested in establishing or expanding a mediation resource for your community or in your jurisdiction, we encourage you to seek partnerships with relevant stakeholders and offices. These would include judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, police officers and probation offices, as well as reentry resources and victim advocacy organizations. The broader your array of partners, the greater insight, expertise on which the program can be built to ensure its effectiveness. On behalf of the American Bar Association Criminal Justice Section, I hope you found this to be a valuable resource. Please consult the section website for additional information.
Hi, my name is Karen Gothi, and welcome to the Red Hook Community Justice Center. You just heard Tim go through an overview of the mediation process and the history of mediation. Now I'm going to focus on typical parties of mediation, typical kind of cases, programs that exist in New York, and the benefits of mediation. What better place to have a discussion about alternate dispute resolution than the Red Hook Community Justice Center, the nation's first multi-jurisdictional community court, offering one courtroom, one judge, and alternate dispute resolution services right on site. Here, in addition to regular criminal court dispositions, we offer on-site such services and treatment as drug treatment, various substance abuse and alcohol treatment, counseling, community service, education, job training, and you may have guessed it, mediation. Before we get into the specifics of mediation, let's speak about why now. Why explore any mediation programs at this date and time? Now, most jurisdictions are moving away from the strictly punishment-based approach and are adopting new creative ways of processing and handling cases. Let's talk about the state of affairs. Caseloads are increasing. The police department is ever growing and translates into more arrests, more quality of life offenses that we're seeing in particular in New York. An already constrained system is now facing budget crisis. Budget crisis means that the district attorney's office is now having to either reduce staff or not hire new attorneys. Legal aid or public defenders' offices, same thing. Less attorneys handling more cases means less time to spend on any individual case. The court system, the number of criminal court judges are pretty much remaining the same. Same amount of judges for more cases means more cases on your calendar, less time to spend on each case, and basically adopting a triage or processing approach as opposed to individual attention. One judge on the bench described it as McJustice, comparing it to McDonald's or any other food chain being passed from the police to the attorneys to the court and then back to the community. Nothing solved, nothing changed, nothing helped. The end result is dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction from the court players, dissatisfaction from the community. It's time to think outside of the box. It's time to change and offer new solutions, partner with outside agencies, and handle cases differently. In recognition of this need, the unified court system in charge of the courts throughout New York State has partnered with private organizations, local community dispute resolution centers. They provide some funding, they provide the referrals to cases, and the mediation centers do the intake, meet with the parties, and then If an agreement is reached, report that agreement back to the court. There are more than 60 such mediation centers, one that exists in each county in New York State. They handle in excess of 90,000 cases a year. That's 90,000 cases, with 80% of the participants reporting being satisfied with the overall process, even if they don't resolve every issue. The typical parties involved in the cases that are referred are landlord-tenant, neighbors, parent and child, basically family members, merchant consumers, co-workers, basically parties that have an ongoing continuous relationship. Cases are referred both from the courts and by law enforcement, whether it be the district attorney's office, probation, or the police department. One such community dispute resolution center is Safe Horizon, our partner in this project. They pride themselves on being the nation's leading victim assistance, crime prevention, and victim advocacy programs. They have partnered with the Kings County District Attorney's Office and is exploring a partnership with the courts in Manhattan to offer mediation in criminal court cases, minor assaults, larceny, property damage, where parties are known to each other, related, or have ongoing relationships, such as co-workers, schoolmates, neighbors. In addition, for juvenile matters, Safe Horizon has partnered with Corporation Counsel and the Department of Probation to offer victim offender mediations or dialogues in more serious cases involving assaults, burglaries, sexual offenses, including sexual assaults, and homicide cases. Another New York State program, one that was recently established, is a partnership between the Kings County District Attorney's Office and the Vera Institute of Criminal Justice. They offer mediation in felony cases involving burglary, robbery, and assaults, where the offender is between the ages of 16 and 24 and is likely to be sentenced to some time in jail. Upon successful completion of the program, the felony conviction is vacated, leaving the misdemeanor conviction, and the offender is sentenced to programs and community-based services as opposed to any jail time. Then there are other programs in New York State where the mediation is offered right on site, such as at Red Hook. It's typical for a case to be heard in court, the parties to be referred to mediation, and then within a couple of hours, the mediation to actually be conducted, the resolution agreement to be signed, and then brought back before the judge on the same day or a court date shortly thereafter, and incorporated as part of the disposition to the case. What quick handling of a matter, and what great resolution of the underlying dispute. Some of the typical cases that are referred that we see over and over again in all mediation programs are the basic cross complaints, meaning two individuals, minor injuries, both arrested, either both being charged, and both either interested in just walking away and forgetting about it, or in fighting to the end and prosecuting each other with no real resolution of the underlying issue, which pretty much means that when they walk out the door, they'll be back. You have the typical love triangle, two individuals fighting over someone else. And then you start off with the aggravated harassment, the phone calls, the threats, the pushing, the shoving, property damage, whether it's the car or the person's house. Continuing criminal conduct, continuing escalating conduct that could potentially be very serious if not dealt with. Co-workers or classmates, some dispute over, who knows, desk space, and before you know it, assaults. One of the cases that I handled as a prosecutor involved competing ice cream truck companies fighting over the same turf. Started off with the typical calling each other names, then property damage, flattening each other's tires, destroying equipment, and before you knew it, arson. Now, that case could have been handled and resolved by sending them to mediation, letting them discuss it, possibly discuss dates and times that they can be on whichever block or whichever section of the neighborhood, and then we may not have seen them again. We are going to see a dramatization of a mediation. It involves a young girl. Her name is Samantha. She was recently arrested and charged with grand larceny, the felony, for taking Amy, the victim's, bank account information and using it along with her boyfriend to access and pay for a pornography site. Over the last several years, the boyfriend had continued using the account to continue paying for that pornography site and incurred more than $5,000 worth of charges. Samantha has long since broken up with him, but she recently logged on to a website using Amy's information just to check whether or not it was still valid and realized that it was, which led to her arrest and her appearance before the judge.